so much for your patience. All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining us here tonight. We're here to celebrate the publication of Did You See Us? Reunion, Remembrance, and Reclamation at an Urban Indian Residential School, published by the University of Manitoba Press. You'll be hearing from a number of the survivors who participated in the writing of this book over the course of the evening, and I just wanted to go over a few notes about the evening itself. My name is John Taves, and I'm the event coordinator at McNally Robinson Booksellers in Winnipeg. We're broadcasting tonight from Treaty 1 territory, the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. I'd like to start off with a few notes of gratitude. First of all, of course, to the Assiniboia Residential School Legacy Group for putting together this incredible volume, and the University of Manitoba Press for publishing it. I'd also like to thank all at the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation, where some of tonight's participants have gathered, for all their incredible assistance with this event and making sure that it could go forward. I should point out that the topics discussed during this conversation, including the trauma resulting from the residential school system, can be triggering and very impactful for some viewers. The NCTR has put together some resources as well for anybody who may be troubled by the conversation. I'll put up some of that information in the chat in just a moment. And if you are watching this on YouTube, that information is found just immediately below the video in the text as well. So please do avail yourself of those resources if you do need them. There won't be a Q&A tonight, but there will be time for you folks to chat amongst yourselves in the chat if you would like. To avoid distracting all of tonight's participants, they won't be looking at the chat, but I will be taking your comments out and emailing it to everybody so they can see all the pleasant things that you have to say about them when all is said and done. So if you do have anything to say, please do feel free to put it right in the chat and I'll make sure it gets through. As you know, very sadly, one of the contributors to tonight's volume, Theodore Fontaine, is no longer with us bodily, but his indomitable spirit is truly with us tonight, and it will be celebrated over the course of the evening. Theodore, of course, was one of the people behind the writing and publication of this book, and also the author of the incomparable book, Broken Circle, and his legacy is incredibly rich. That's certainly enough from me tonight, but I would like to take this opportunity to introduce your host for this evening. Susan Swan is an Ojibwe woman from Lake Manitoba First Nation. She was the first Indigenous female police officer employed by the Winnipeg Police Service from 1987 to 2012. Since her retirement, Susan has enjoyed utilizing the skills she has developed along the way and facilitates training for the Indigenous Leadership Development Institute. By way of background, Susan is a survivor of the 60s scoop, a second-generation residential school survivor. Her mother, Alma Swan, attended the Sandy Bay Residential School. She is a sought-after motivational speaker and has received several accolades. Susan is a recipient of the YMCA-YWCA Woman of Distinction Award and a two-time nominee for the National Aboriginal Achievement Awards. The Gemini Award-winning documentary, The Red Road, featured her life story, and she is a published author with a chapter contribution to the book, First Lady Nation Volume 2, Stories by Aboriginal Women. Please join me in giving a very warm virtual welcome to Susan Swan.
Wow, my first virtual welcome. Hello, Wachki Maskude Bishikide Dishakaz, and Emosi Bing Dunji. Name Dodem. My family where I come from are my grandparents, Elizabeth and Walter Swan, and my mother was Elma Swan. I'm from Lake Manitoba First Nation, and I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you for attending tonight's book launch. Did You See Us? Reunion, Remembrance, Reclamation at an Urban Indian Residential School. This book comes at a time when our Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities are reeling in pain from the discovery of many children who were located in unmarked graves situated at Indian residential schools from across our country. Maryvale Residential School today announced that they have found located hundreds of unmarked graves as well. Having survivors with us here today will hopefully bring a greater understanding of what happened behind the walls by providing a first-hand account. My mother went to Indian Residential School in Sandy Bay, and unfortunately, like so many others, although she returned home, she did not survive the impact of attending. My mother took her life at the age of 19. It is important to hear the stories from the survivors themselves. In our schools, we were never taught the true history of Canada. We never learned about the Indian residential schools. Many people didn't even hear about them until recently reported tragic news. That is true. My husband, who is an educated non-Indigenous man, who is the past chair of the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce, didn't know anything about the residential schools until we became involved 13 years ago. That's crazy. There are many people who are struggling, Indigenous and non-Indigenous people alike. I was part of the 60 Scoop. I was adopted by a non-Indigenous family who were very strong Roman Catholics. My mother called me the other night and we chatted about the church, the Pope, and the recent discovery of these children. This had a profound effect on her. She is struggling. I understand. However, the Indigenous community has suffered the effects of colonization, and we need acknowledgement of the atrocities that took place and make sure that history never repeats itself. The stories in the book are a great resource to recommend to people who need to have a better understanding. The timing of this book is now. We have lost so many of our survivors already without having an opportunity to hear their stories. Being together this evening is an opportunity to listen with an open heart, to acknowledge the existence of the Assiniboia Indian Residential School, hence the name, Did You See Us? It is now with a heavy heart, as mentioned. We also have another elder that's not going to be able to share with us this evening, Elder Hubert Hart from Norway House Cree Nation in Manitoba, who attended the school from 1964 until 1968, was going to be with us here tonight to share with us. His brother is having a very difficult time and he's in the hospital. So we send our prayers and our love to the family, the community, and all the friends of Hubert Hart's brother. So at this time, it is an honor to be able to introduce to you from the National Center of Truth and Reconciliation by the fire there is our elder Deborah Seelan. Deborah's ancestors were the first signers of Treaty 1 Territory Agreement. Deborah's family comes from the Paw area. So at this time, Deborah, please give us an opening song. You're muted. Thank you.
Okay. Wabish Kane and Makwa. Oh, bonjour. Mino Gagigidu Mikinak, Disney Kosh. And Wabish Kane and Makwa, Mikinak Dudim. I would like to share a song that I've always shared at our meetings with our beautiful people. Carrie, you'll remember this song when I sing it. And I know that our Teddy will really love this song because he loved it when I sung. So here we go. Please stand. I'd like to take this time to honor and to pay respect to this tobacco that was passed to me. I'm giving thanks for the beautiful work that our survivors, people have shared in their hearts. So I want to honor. Earlier today, I had a pipe ceremony to feast the spirits of the children that have passed and the adults that have passed, the elders that have gone. I want to pay respect with this strawberry medicine day and blueberries and that pickerel and that, I'm going to make everybody hungry, it sounds like. And I want to respect with this elk that I have here and Nipi Manitou and offer it to that sacred fire here appropriately at the National TRC Center in a good way. So I call upon you to pray in your way as I pray the way I've learned to pray in the language. I'll do my best and I ask the Creator for pity. Asima, Chimanitu Asima, Miniwaya Nangwa, Indigo. I want to honor Wapang, Shawanang, Nigibong, Ikibetinang. I want to honor Ni Mama Aki. I want to honor Ni Didi Kiziku, Father Sky. I want to honor Mishomis Didi Kijis, and I want to honor Mishomis Kijis. And most of all, I want to honor this beautiful Nipi Manitou. But Benjamin, we send when Gitch Manitou, Asima, de Mami with Mamijam, Iniwaya Nangwa, Jinazong and Go Nangwa, Chimigwich grandfathers, Nakomish, Nishomish. I also want to send those special prayers to Hubert and his family, Hubert Hart. I send prayers to a good friend and everybody's good friend, Teddy Fontaine. I send prayers to Morgan. And these beautiful, beautiful Ikwe are some beautiful women that are standing beside me. Miigwech for that. Chimanitu, we give thanks. Miigwech, when thank you.
Shimigwech Elder Seelan, that was a beautiful song to start us off in a good way, and thank you for that prayer. So I know earlier our host John did a land acknowledgement. However, I'm going to do another one. Elder Theodore Fontaine, Teddy, as we all know him by different names, wrote out and created a land acknowledgement that he was going to read at this event. It was very important for him. So I feel very honored that I'm going to have this opportunity to do a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge we are on First Nations land, Turtle Island, inhabited by First Nations from time immemorial. For thousands of years, First Nation people, the Anishinaabe, the Cree, Dakota, Dene, the Anishinaabe nations walked and lived on this land and knew it to be the center of their lives and spirituality. The Anishinaabe call the land Manitoba, the place where the Creator resides. We acknowledge this became the homeland of the Métis people. We acknowledge and welcome the many people from countries all over the world who have come to join us, Turtle Island's First Nations, in calling this land our home. We acknowledge that we are all bound together by Treaty 1. Chimigwech. So as we all know, you probably know, we've heard it mentioned a couple times, we recently lost one of our elders, Theodore, Ted Fontaine, our brother, our Mishum, our husband, our uncle, our friend. And no matter how we knew him, he has touched so many of our lives. He always saw the good in people, and he would never hesitate to give anyone a helping hand up. I would like to call upon Andrew Wolford to do an honor to Theodore Fontaine. And following the honoring, we're going to observe a moment of silence for the survivors who are no longer with us. Andrew?
Thank you, Susan. It's my good fortune to have this opportunity to speak about my dear friend, our dear friend, and our leader, Theodore. This book, as well as the broader activities of the Assiniboia Residential School Legacy Group, would not have been possible without his determination, his passion, and his vision. Not a day has passed since Ted made his journey to the West that we haven't missed him, all of us thinking about him day after day. He brought us not only leadership, but also joy and humor. He brought humor and joy to all of our meetings, even as we were dealing with the business of our organization. Ted had that spark always, so I want to say a special chimigwech, my very good friend. Many of you out there will know Ted from his visits to school classrooms, recounting some of the stories from his best-selling memoir, Broken Circle, which John mentioned earlier. Some have probably even had the privilege of having him visit your church, your community center, of interacting with him in some way in the community, maybe even having him share a joke, a wink, and a smile. Ted's presence can be felt throughout this book and will continue to be felt throughout our lives. He's had that sort of impact. And I'd like to take a moment here just to read a couple sections of the preface he wrote for the book, because his words are more powerful than anything I could ever say to try to honor him. So let me give you a few selections from that preface he wrote. These are Ted's words. As a prelude to the historical context of remembering the Assiniboia Indian Residential School, we must recall the events and reasons leading up to the establishment of an Indian residential school in a large metropolis like Winnipeg. This history reveals the impacts experienced by children, families, parents, and grandparents of both the colonizers and the colonized. It must be a continuing narrative for history's sake. This is not the beginning story, nor an ending story, but a true depiction of a central part of a history now embedded in the collective library of knowledge of the survival of the First Peoples of Canada. Although much has been written about the history of Canada and the relationship of governments and settlers with the First Peoples of Canada, testimony of this true history as lived by the First Peoples of Canada has been brief. As former students, now adults, we are survivors of the infamous Indian residential school system. Our testimony, shared at our reunions, is shared here as remembrance and reclamation of our lived experiences. Yet the history of the Assiniboia Indian Residential School has been an enigma, a unique story left untold. Its existence and operation from 1958 to 1973 were almost unknown to the residents of the city of Winnipeg, including those living in River Heights, the neighborhood where this Indian school was situated. What story was never told? Did you see us? The history of Assiniboia includes close to 1,000 individual stories, the lived experiences of former students, staff, parents, River Heights residents, and many others in the First Nations and non-Indigenous communities of Winnipeg and Manitoba. This book offers a small selection of these stories. More are left untold. Skipping ahead, that's more are left to be told. Skipping ahead, the Indian residential school policy and era were not intended to support or educate our people, but to get us out of the way of settler development and access the wealth of Canada's natural resources. implementation of policy primarily carried out by churches acting for the Canadian government aimed to displace our nations, destroy our traditional ways of life, our customs, cultural and linguistic heritage, legal rights, spirituality, and government and societal structures, and the very identities of Indigenous peoples of Canada. Canada's residential schools policy targeted children to ensure continuous destruction of our First Nations identity from one generation to the next. Assiniboia was the first Indian residential school to provide high school education in a major urban environment in Manitoba. Each of us had attended Indian residential schools from about the ages of 6 or 7, with schools situated both on Indian reserves and in rural and northern Manitoba communities. At first, we thought that being transferred to Assiniboia was just another step in the progression of our incarceration. Yet the Assiniboia Indian Residential School, by design or inadvertently, was a place where students began to peek out of a dark place and realize that we could live amongst the colonizers and attain some measure of adaptation to our changed lives. I'm just going to skip to a final passage from Ted's preface. This book honors all who are part of the collective story of Assiniboia. Each has contributed to community reconciliation in a sustained and meaningful way. Like the Assiniboine River that flows just beyond our playing fields, our stories run together, sometimes slowly, sometimes in a torrent. They rise and fall with memories and emotions. There is no beginning and there is no end. There is only the ebb and flow of the years gone by and the story that flows forward to future generations. These are powerful words to end on in honoring our friend. I'd like to take a moment of silence for those students from Assiniboia who aren't here with us today, as well as all the children who never made it home.
Chimigwech. Thank you very much for sharing and honoring Elder Fontaine. That was beautiful. And he had such a way with words. He had a way of speaking that was so eloquent, but just talking about the ebb and flow and just the way he was an amazing man. And Morgan, we feel your loss, and thank you for sharing him with us. Yeah. All right. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce you to the authors who will be sharing with you shortly, but I'm just going to introduce them to you. The elders that we have with us tonight, we have Elder Betty Ross from Cross Lake First Nation, Manitoba, and she attended the school from 1962 to 1968. So welcome, Elder Betty Ross. Thank you for joining us today. We also have, we also, hello, Elder Ross. Thanks for being with us today. We are going to hear your story very shortly. We just want to acknowledge your presence here tonight.
Chance tutemak. Mineniten, hanusung teni pawian. Kaperichiga pawistawiak. Wachie. Epentutawiak. Uma. Epagitnamak. Tatsimuinan. Itagagi skuliwiak. Taspiskalas. Tunene mineniten, hanuskagi chigisigak. Umauteni pawian. Nisonistangi sapusken residential schools. Peg Michigamak, Ekuteni Nauti Michigamak, Cross Lake First Nation. Akwani utamina, he pay school living, Woma, Assiniboia Residential School. Ekutangiyan, gigisitan. Akwanuts, at sinangayamitan, Woma. Itayon tatsimuinista gastek. Niso asan tatsimuina. Pega ni magutagay ni Stamawat, Sugar Falls, kay Sigatek. Egoy na nete kagi school yan misikamak. Ako mautamina. Ako ane magapit naman ikipichi na notes. Ewin tutawag. At sina ni ikipichi ewi tayak. Kita kiskis tutawag. Kagi nagatigwagan utsiges pin. Umene mistaywi naginusitaw. Ito na may tati ko siyo. Baga, tatigisita na anong tatus kewin. Anong skagay tsigisigak. Amin na nas ko mun. Ako kane yung kati paskite na numanista. Itan tatsi mun gastek. Nista may minigawi ano ma. Giga no paten semak. Sige maegi nato naman. Tatsi mun. Ako ane paskite naman, ako ane gamis kaman. Page 74. Ekuta, kahit astek. Kekwan utse. Kekwan utse uma. Kekwan utse kagi utse. Utnigawiyak. Kagi pakitnigawiyak uma, kitakakwatagigawiyak. 74, and my page 74, and I'm 74 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so honored to be here today. I'm from Itsikamai Cree Nation, Cross Lake First Nation. I'm a residential school survivor of 2 systems. One at Cross Lake First Nation, and here at 621 Academy Road. So I would just like to recite a few sentences from my story. It says, Kegwanuche, meaning why.
She's muted. Is somebody there? Give her a hand.
Today, I feel honored to share with you my journey and life experiences within the 2 residential schools I attended from pause every now and then for composure due to the fact that it's very difficult to go back and revisit those eras today. I attended Assiniboia Residential School at 610 Academy Road in 1962 and 63, and again in 63 to 1968. It is also essential to mention the fact that prior to Assiniboia Residential School, I attended St. Joseph's Residential School from 1953 to 1956, and again in 1962 and 1963 at Cross Lake, Manitoba, my original community. So I don't know how much time I have, but I just want to read the last part of my story. It's in relation to the question I'm asking in the very beginning of my my story, and bear with me here. Okay, page 81. Yes, page 81. The last sentences. There were 10 of us. There were 10 of us girls attending the Sacred Heart Convent School while boarding us at Assiniboia, and only 4 of us graduated in 1968-69. In conclusion, I am asking some hard questions here. Why? Why residential schools? Why couldn't they leave us alone? Did the government and churches achieve their goals? What kind of mindset was in operation during that era? Why this invasion of insidious actions of the worst kind? Why did these 2 atrocious systems try to crucify me for who I was? I have a million gazillion whys. that will never be answered in this lifetime and beyond. I'm 74 years old today. Why? So that's the question I'm leaving to the generations to come. Why? Why residential schools? Did they achieve their goals? Look at us. Look at us survivors today. We're very strong. We're very resilient. I myself found my journey. I just came back from my reserve, Michigan Cree Nation, where I finished my 4th year. Now in Simuin, meaning that I put away my journey from the east, south, west, and north. And then I went to the boreal forest and did my fast for the betterment of our community, our generations, my own family members, and the survivors that have left us from Assiniboia Residential School. We will never forget them. They'll always be a part of us because they're very essential in our lives. So before I leave you, I want to share words of wisdom this day, 2021, to be grateful for every breath and every step that you take on Mother Earth. And may you walk with the Creator. May you find who you are. It is so crucial to know who you are, where you're from, and where you're going. It's a lifelong journey. It took me a while to find out who Betty was because Betty was lost. When I graduated from the residential school system in 1968, I didn't know who I was because they didn't teach us anything in the residential schools, only abuse. But I knew that I had beautiful stuff out there, beautiful ceremony songs that I needed to find. Today, I have about 25 sacred songs, sacred Cree songs, and do ceremonies and teach. Teach my language, which is, I'm very fluent in my first Cree language. And I'm just so honored to be standing here today and sharing with you my lifelong journey. It's a beautiful journey. I would not have it any other way. And I have beautiful children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I love with all my heart and my spirit. Egusani for listening to my story. I think I'm out of time. Egusani, thank you. I love each and every one of you in the 4 directions from the east, the south, the west, and the north. Egusani, now. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, Chimigwech, Elder Ross, for sharing those beautiful words, words of resilience, the words of love, the words of knowing who you are and not giving up. And you're never too old. Just know where you are, know where you come from, and just beautiful. Thank you so much. I've had the honor of sitting in a circle with Elder Ross when she shared her story, and she's so powerful, as you just got a very little glimpse of her. So in her book, her chapters are very enlightening, and I hope you all get a copy of that. Okay, so one thing I've learned over time is sometimes people have waited so long to speak that it's just time. Who was I thinking I was going to put the elders on the back burner till later and hang them as a hook for you? I think that voices need to be heard now. That's what I just heard from that sharing there. So we are going to have our next survivor speak with us, and it's going to be Helper Mabel Horton. She's from Nelson House Cree Nation in Manitoba, and she attended the school from 1952 to 1967. So welcome, Elder Horton. I'm just waiting to hear your story.
Exciting. Susan, she was trying to learn Cree just before we started, but I told her, no, don't say that. But there. Igosani, I'm really honored to be here, especially outside in this beautiful weather, and somebody holding my mic with great honor. And thanks to all my relatives and all the people that are watching. I'm really pleased that you can join us. And I send links to most of my colleagues around and to my family, and I hope you're watching. And I love you all. My story, I didn't bring my book, but I bought so many books already. They're given to family members, and it's an honor to be included in that story. Thanks to Andrew and of course our late friend Ted. And mine was more, I was a bit reluctant to do it, but I said, well, I'm going to do it for the youth. And my story is all about the youth in that book, although it sounds like I'm so educated, I'm not. But the gist of my story was for all the youth. You can do it, and it doesn't sound like a cliche, but it's not that hard. It's very hard, especially now with all the stories about the 215, and it just breaks my heart about all that. And more are found today, I understand, from Saskatchewan, and more will be found, including in my old first residential school, which is Guy Hill, near Clearwater Lake, and I'm positive there's souls there, bodies there, and I'm so. We're just distraught. But yeah, education. My parents, I mentioned them in my book. Now I'm claiming it. And they were really helpful to us. They visited us wherever we went. My parents, my mom and dad were alive, and they lived to be in their 80s. And there's 7 siblings. My older brother, Freddie, whom I love, and he's still alive. He's 79. And he went to school with Ted and with Phil and all those other, Dorothy James, and I could go on, but we love them. Judy Wilson, if you're watching, all those people. And I'm sorry to hear about, I think it's Paul, who's very sick, and with Hubert, and Peter and Paul, the twins, we love them. They were hearts like me from Norway House. And yeah, so I went to my nursing school at Victoria Hospital in Winnipeg. And then I was the first nurse for my community. And I'm proud to say that my son is the first medical doctor from Nelson House. And he's a neurologist. And if you're watching, Miles, I love you. And then I went to back and forth. We did some distance education when we were in the territories. We were learning through cassette players, cassette recorders, and sending them to the north and south. And eventually I got my master's in public admin at the age of 64. So never too late, youth that you're watching. And so that was my message for the book. And I'm really grateful that that's happening. And so I think that's all I can say for now. If you read the book, and I was interviewed this, you might have seen the paper today, the Winnipeg Free Press, with stories there, and to say it was really good. I had a good experience actually, although, you know, we're all away from our parents, and I didn't lose my language either. In fact, I'm trying to learn it more, and I'm even trying to learn Spanish as we speak. So it's never too late. And there was also on the global TV had also printed our stories. So I think there'll be more people asking us to help, which we're so willing to do. So keep using us. I'm the helper. And I'm so thankful. And I'm so happy to see Valerie there. I've never seen her for a long time, since high school. And of course, we remember David Montana Wesley, who started us off here, getting together. And all the people from Northwestern Ontario, we welcome you. You can move to Manitoba. And the ones from Saskatchewan. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Sunny. Aho. Mute. Thank you, Susan.
You got to that story. Sorry, I was a poor student in my Cree class with you at the start. She says, no, just don't say it. Just say helper. So 64 a master's, how impressive. You're right. Like anytime. You're never too old. That's so impressive. And language, I'm fight to get my language as well. And it's not easy, but to do your Cree language and your Spanish, wow, you're just nonstop. Thank you for sharing your story. And again, if you don't have the book yet, seriously, these stories are just so healing to be able to listen to them and to share them and to learn from them. So, chimigwech. All right, moving right along. Now we're moving indoors. It's my honor to now introduce to you Elder Carrie Pro. I was lucky I heard her on CBC radio today. I don't know if anyone else did, but it was wonderful. She's from Wanapekau First Nation, that's Hollow Water in Manitoba, and she attended the school from 1958 to 1961. Hey, that's the year I was born. Welcome, Elder Pro. It's all yours. You'll just have to unmute yourself. That little red. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. I attended two schools, one in the Sagging First Nation where Theodore and I were attended. And then we went on to Assiniboia Residential School together. We both started in the first year at open. My experiences at both places were both negative and positive, but I got benefit out of both. The negative showed me how to be strong, be independent, go after what I wanted, get myself educated further after the school. I went to college to do my business administration and majored in accounting. Then I went on to attend university courses in marketing and sales, and I was in sales. At Eaton's for my first years there, employment, I was at the college and I got hired by Eaton's while I was attending there. So I had a job waiting. Then I went on and worked with several companies downtown and owned all the sporting businesses. I was in charge of the accounts payables there. Quite a responsibility when you can think of it because we're allowed big checks. So then I got hired from BC, went to BC to work. I worked for that project, BC Place. I was an auditor there. I stayed there for about 20 years, came back, got hired here at the Manitoba government as an auditor again, auditing financial statements and gaming commissions and all the reserves in Manitoba. So those are the things that I'm proud of. I hope I left a lot behind in teaching all the Native organizations how to read their financial statements and be more responsible with the way that we handle our money. And I made a lot of friends doing that. And, that's one thing about the school and working with Native organizations here in Manitoba, and I made a lot of friends. And they're very bright people. The other thing is, the other part is, there's been lasting, I get emotional when I talk about this. The things that happens that I saw at the schools of some of the students not respected, being picked on, including myself by one teacher. But I was determined not to let that get to me, and that's what made me stronger. So today, all I can say is, go for it. Don't let people knock you down. You can be successful if you want to be. Thanks.
Miigwech, Elder Pro, for that. I love your inner strength. and all that you've done. So thank you for your contributions to this chapter in this book. Gaming Commission. Wow. I actually sat on the first board of the Manitoba Gaming Commission when it started up in Manitoba. And finances, forget it. I can't even balance my checkbook. But, it's good advice for everyone, get your inner strength and don't let people knock you down, and do what you can to pick yourself up and be proud of who you are, because we're proud Anishinaabe people. So miigwech for sharing that story, and a great chapter in the book that you wrote on. Miigwech.
Thank you.
All right, going right along here. Next, I'd like to have everyone meet Elder Valerie Manville from Couchiching First Nation in Ontario. She attended the school from 1962 to 1967. So Valerie, I give you the floor, so to speak.
Bonjour. I am going to recite my poem on page 43. It's entitled 222 Miles from Home. It's a poem to Assiniboia Residential School, Winnipeg, Manitoba. These were my high school years, 12 to 17. I am a survivor who left home at 12 through no choice of my own to attend the residential school 222 miles from home. I left my homeland where I attended 8 years of grade school at another residential school. While in Winnipeg, I loved volleyball, but wasn't chosen for football cheerleader. I skated in minus 40-degree Fahrenheit weather, treaded snow to my knees. I tried curling to no avail. We built an ice sculpture buffalo, loved bowling, met wonderful lifelong friends, learned the sciences, yearned for mail, 222 miles from home. On outings, I went to Elvis shows at downtown movie theaters, danced every dance I knew, sang songs on the radio, found fashion at Portage Mall, wore miniskirts, trench coats, and knee-high boots. I discovered poetry, sang in the choir, learned foreign languages and cultures, whereas I barely knew mine, 222 miles from home. I was warm, earned money, but was so restricted, always reprimanded for being me, silenced by the nuns. I wasn't allowed to play, was shushed in dormitories, lived with regulatory regimentation, was watched like a hawk with imaginary boundaries, never allowed to date or rarely talk with the opposite sex. I was denied freedom of speech by religious acts, always learning their new ways, never practicing ours. I wanted to type versus take the language, 222 miles from home. There was no contact with home except for letters and holidays, 10 months of the year. I counted the days to return to freedom at home. We were shaped to be ourselves today, but never forgot our ancestry. I could not see the control of not moving in freedom from corporal punishment. We prayed a lot, but why? I longed to be home, but couldn't. I was silenced then, not now, when I was 222 miles from home. Miigwech.
Wow, that just gave chills down my spine. Very, very powerful poem. I see in the book.
Okay,
Yep.
I just had a little bit more. I wanted to, I think I knocked a button there and sent me off there. Okay, I am proud of those who continue to pursue their careers. It was not easy, but we persevered. Miigwech to everyone who is a part of this book launch, especially author and Professor Andrew Wolford. I am proud and honored to be a part of it. Not everyone was aware of our tenacity and struggles, but we survived. Gitchimegwich to family and friends, and those who never made it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Beautiful. So I was just saying, I was looking in the book and I see you have your 1966 yearbook picture in there.
Yes.
And it says your ambition was to be a teacher. Are you a teacher? Are you a teacher?
No, I'm not a teacher. At the time when they were going around, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to be. And so I just said teacher. So I tried for that, and I don't know, I ended up mostly working in business as a secretary. And I did work for governments and in the arts. So I'm not really sure what I would be classified as. A little bit of everything.
Great. And do you still like collecting pictures?
Oh, yes. My Facebook is full. My phone is full. I love taking pictures.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Valerie. It was a very powerful poem. Like I said, it just it sent some chills down my spine, and I felt it very, very deeply in my heart. So thank you for that.
I'll make one.
Okay, so I would just like to, I know we're missing a couple of people, but so I want to just acknowledge the other survivors who attended the Indian residential school who actually contribute their stories in the book. So they're not here, but their stories are there, and please give them a read. There's a story from Elder Jane Glennon from Peter Ballantyne Cree Nation, Saskatchewan. And she attended from 1958 to 1961. There's stories, and I heard the name mentioned earlier, from Elder David Montana Wesley from Long Lake, Ontario. He attended from 1963 to 1965. And Elder Charlie Nelson from Roseau River First Nation from 1964 to 1969. And I know that we did hear that Theodore did the preface in the book, but he also has a chapter in the book there. And his, again, Elder Theodore Fontaine's from Sagin First Nation. And his stories, he was there from 1958 to 1960. And there's two other really neat stories that are in there from the hostel years at the Assiniboia Indian Residential School. There's Elder Carol Starr from Winnipeg, another Hollow Water First Nation lady from 1969 to 1970. And Elder Martina Fisher from Skozie Bing, Blood Bing First Nation, who attended from 1969 to 1972. So all these stories are there, and I know we couldn't have everybody on here sharing, but you can hear their stories, and it's so important that we hear the messages that are being shared with us. So Andrew, I think you want to make some acknowledgement to some of our partners that are supporting this amazing event.
Yeah, I just want to begin by acknowledging again Valerie, Carrie, Betty, and Mabel for being here, and the presentations they made, also powerful, also touching, and also acknowledge Ted and Hubert, who would be here if they could. I want to thank John and McNally Robinson, as well as Kayla at the NCTR for their support. I think Jason Bone is maybe also our fire master, but I should have checked on that before. I want to thank Anastasia and everyone at the University of Manitoba Press as well for the excellent job they did in seeing this book through. It's difficult to do with a community-based project. And the fact that this is a community-based project makes it very hard to thank all the people I should be thanking right now, because so many people have played some role, whether it was in supporting the reunion that happened in 2017, or attending that reunion, or being at one of the earlier survivor-led reunions that took place. in years previously, are all the people who are currently supporting the efforts of the Assiniboia Residential School Legacy Group to build a commemorative marker at the front of the former school site on Academy Road. We're finding support from all levels of government in our work towards that. So there's so many people. Some people I do want to list out because they've been members of the Assiniboia Residential School Legacy Group Board. So let me just start out by thanking alphabetically Dorothy Ann Crate. I see Dorothy is in the attendees. So hi, Dorothy. We miss you. We wish you could come and visit us in Winnipeg. Theodore Fontaine, Daniel Highway, Mabel Horton, Tony Kipling, Joe Malcolm, Rudy Okama, Carolyn Perot, Betty Ross, David Rundle, who I also see is in attendance here, and Rosa Walker. We also acknowledge many of the allies and friends who have supported our work, such as Herbert Enns, Rhonda Forgas, Jessica Paley, Camille Anderson, Murray Peterson, Aaron Swarczynski, Cecil Sveinson, Manny Amarim, Tracy Sechvala, sorry, Tracy, and special thanks to Morgan Fontaine, who's currently downstairs watching this broadcast with my wife, and to Ruth Vivchar, oh, sorry, Ruth, I mispronounced it, Wichar, who did a great work proofreading the manuscript. I also have to take this moment to acknowledge the generous financial support of the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada through the Manitoba Research Alliance Grant Partnering for Change, who gave us financial support in carrying out this project. As I say, there's so many individuals, and I see so many of you in our attendees list that I feel embarrassed not mentioning all of your names individually, but hopefully you know who you are and all the help you've given us. So thank you so much. It's been a very rewarding journey, and we will continue. I think this group is very much committed to continuing their great work. So thank you so much. Miigwech.
Great, thank you, Andrew, for that. So I know John Toast from McNally Robinson would like to say a couple of words. John, are you there?
Hello, Susan. Thank you so much. And I won't take up much time at all on my part. I know Andrew already thanked so many of the people that were involved in making this evening possible, and we're so very grateful as well. It's very humbling to be a part of this evening and a part of welcoming this book into the world. So we're very grateful to have played even a small part in that. So thank you all tonight, everybody who's spoken, for all your incredible generosity of spirit and for sharing your stories as well. It's been such a pleasure to just be able to listen. So thank you so much for that. It does feel odd to speak of commerce at a time like this, but I think one of the most important things about this event too is ensuring that more people do read this book as well. So however you can find a way to get a copy of Did You See Us, please do take advantage of that. We certainly do have a lot of copies. So if you are curious and would like to pick up a copy from McNally Robinson, those are available in person, they're available online, and you can give us a call. We courier within the city and ship nationally and internationally. So wherever you are, we will find a way to get a copy of Did You See Us into your hands. And I'll put that information in the chat right now. We also, as always, have an incredible number of copies of Broken Circle. So if you have not read this book already, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's such a powerful work. So please do take advantage of that. And finally, just to ensure that everybody can hear the words of all the participants this evening, please know that this video will remain live on YouTube as well. So you'll have seen the link in the invitation, but if you just search for this event and McNally Robinson YouTube, it'll come up and you'll be able to watch it and share it with other people as well. So thank you all for speaking tonight. And I'd just like to express our thanks to all those watching here in the Zoom webinar and live on YouTube. Thank you.
Oh, miigwech, John. So before I call upon Elder Deborah Seelan to offer us the closing song, I just want to share a poem that's in the book, and I was so moved by it. It was written by Alia Petoskey, a grade 5 student who goes to Ecole Sun Valley in Winnipeg here. And to me, when I read it and I saw it was a grade 5 student, I thought it represents hope, seeing our future generations are striving towards reconciliation. So I just want to share his poem with you because it came from a young person, and it's someone with so much insight and depth, and it's very moving. So, children taken from homes, taken to change them, erase their roots, be like the Europeans, keep away from family at large, cold, heartless schools, erase their culture, cut off their hair, be like everyone else, keep siblings far away, no visits from parents, learn to follow the rules or be punished, truth kept. Government began to realize cruel ways. Mistakes had been made. All cultures should be celebrated to create a unique Canada, a Canada that embraces individuality. Action towards reconciliation needed to happen. Educate new generations, honor Aboriginal culture, and rebuild pride. Truth be told, I imagine Canada that is sharing stories through experiences, honesty, apologies, a new pride. Canada's embracing all Canadians, equality and acceptance for all. Our cultures are accepted. Everyone is respected. People are proud of who they are. Truth be heard. Miigwech. To me, with the stories that you've all shared and all the stories that are in this book that you've contributed to, you are making a difference for our future generations and making steps towards that reconciliation. So again, thank you each and every one of you that contributed to here. And I'm just so humbled to be a part of this. At this time, I'd like to call on our elder, Deborah Seela, to give us a song prayer.
Okay. I can't hear. All right.
Miigwech, to our survivors who shared their hearts so freely. Miigwech. Want to just say a few words around the beautiful sharing and the resilience and the strength of these beautiful equays here that are shared their heart and with such great Mother Earth strength of words. It has been a privilege and an honor to sit together, and to all the individuals that are watching, please learn about residential schools. What a powerful name. Did you see us? Miigwech, Kitchmanitou, Nikomish Mishomish for being so beautiful. Miigwech. Miigwech.